We have three wonderful artists. So tell us, your production, your work is maybe the most cryptic, because you see people laughing and you hear this strange voice saying empty phrases. What is about it?
First of all, thank you for having us. Maybe to give a little bit context about Untitled, that like the last 3 years, the Marmara Sea is struggling with sea snot or mucilage. It's basically a thick layer of slime, and the government is trying to clean it from the surface. And so we hear the chairman of Nationalist Party explaining their attitude, like how they will take care of it. And the photographs that we are seeing are coming from 2010, and where the sea was more swimmable. And so I think that's a little bit the nature of the project, to just juxtapose these two different times, and how a little bit like the nationalist government's take on environment is actually not helping it. Yeah.
The footage we see, the people bathing in the Marmara Sea, is your personal footage. It's like a personal memory, which dates...
So they are from 2010, and they were sitting like as photos. And I was listening this chairman's talks all the time in the last 2-3 years as a figure. And
because it's a small party, a nationalist, almost fascist party.
But they're in the government, like they're ally of the government. They're
okay.
supporting the government. And so, like from that night, like photographs, I have, I think, 4 times more of that set. And the talk, like, that's how his talk starts. So I took the first part of his talk where he's addressing the mucilage problem, and I didn't touch that talk at all. I only like delete sentences.
Okay.
So the time of the talk is there, and the photographs are also coming from the sequence that I took them.
Yes.
So I also didn't delete from this contact sheet, like digital contact sheet.
I was very struck by one sentence which says the environment is homeland. And for me, it's very typical for your production, for your work, that here 2 ideologies or 2 ways of thinking touch. Homeland is a vocabulary of this very nationalist party, and environment is vocabulary of people who want to save the planet. So this is this strange, like in your image side, where we see these people enjoying Marmara Sea and the politician who doesn't do anything about it, instead of empty phrases. So for me, in the spectrum of the works we have, it's the most pessimistic one. Mm-hmm. And I address now Jacobo, who I think is more optimistic, and I think Raffaella, that your work is the most optimistic one, so you come as last. We cannot see this piece of beautiful music played in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea without thinking of the tragedies of the migrants happening there. So how do you see this possibility of showing beauty in a place where extreme tragedies happen, and how do you see it? How is it going to change maybe this space?
Yes. So first of all, thank you for the invitation in this amazing moving images space, because it's a very, very interesting festival. And yes, we are invited to make this work, and our idea was to make a site-specific place in the public space. And our sea, the sea, is the biggest public space in the world, and is our public space. Our Mare Nostrum is our identity, and we lose this identity, and now is like a no man's land. So the idea was to to produce with a chapel master in Milan, in Chiesa Rossa, the organ piece. Was the composer was Gian Andrea Fioroni, was an 18th century composer.
And it's not a requiem. I thought in the beginning it was a requiem, but as you...
Exactly. It sounds like a requiem, but it's not a requiem for our perception. Because it is an andante. In the music, in classic music culture, the andante is exactly in between to adagio and allegro. And so it's not a requiem. And our idea was to make a peace moment in the daily disaster, no? And was very important also the title, because the title is resto. Resto in Italian is a verb. It's a firmly decision.
It means I want to stay.
I want to stay in this place.
Yes.
In this moment. Persist in the time, persist in the memory. It remains over the time, no? And it's like a political act for us. It is.
And also you try to change this no man's land with beauty of the music and beauty of the organs. Is it also a little bit like a magic?
Yeah, maybe is I talk with you. It's for us it's not a requiem because we need to reconnect it with this kind of identity, and it is.
And as I was talking of magic, I address now you, Raffaella, because your work is clearly trying to enchant the space, and you are looking for the old formulas, old divinatory techniques. You are tracing the trace of sirens. So tell us, how do you see this magical journey you show us in your film?
Yeah. So I have to say that the work started after the pandemic. So it's like after this feeling of domestication and enclosure. I was living by myself with my cat, and I was just like facing the sea from very far away. And I started to reflect about like the origin of my city, Napoli, which is found of this mythology of Partenope, that it's one of the three sister sirens. But in a way, it's told that, you know, in like the most common way, it's told that she kind of commits suicide because Ulysses was not in love with her, and then that's why.
Who commits suicide?
Partenope, one of the sirens.
Partenope is the maiden voice siren, right?
Yeah, it's like one of the three sister sirens in the Greek mythology that kind of like is the founder of Napoli, like my hometown. So I kind of was annoyed around this fact that she was in a way like, you know, kind of like, because she was not loved by the hero, then she killed herself. So I tried to think about another way of like telling the mythology, the Odysseus, that was actually coming from these three sisters being together and kind of, you know, kind of, because in pre-classical like sort of stories, the sirens are this sort of in-between creatures that are priestesses. So they kind of have this knowledge, like prescientific knowledge, which was fundamental back then to understand climate change and like, you know, a lot of other things. So I kind of had this necessity to embark in this journey with three companions, and then we were kind of, the work was the journey itself, and actually it's like, nothing was set, and I feel like all these like fragments were sort of materialization of that experience in which we were trying to sort of recreate this sacred madness. So this sort of archetypal, intuitive way of making.
And also you made those signs. We can see those signs.
Drawings.
They are the drawings. They are like secret language or secret. Chants or secret magic formulas.
Yeah.
What do you want to bring to light with them?
Yeah, I feel like because we were reflecting around the fact of like not working around like taxonomic language, but actually how to kind of work around the definitions of spaces, materialization of spaces and time. So the drawings came out from like the observation of our experiences and also like resembled to archaic ones I've been studying. And they were made like sort of collaboration with the sea. So it's also like this ongoing process of like working with the marine ecosystem. And they kind of sort of become this vocabulary to tell the story, and also it's like the texts are just also part of the specific journey. So it's like they are made during the journey through this process of automatic writings. So it's kind of trying to push, you know, to open up to this sort of way of making that is not related to a fixed narrative and is atemporal and is kind of like. Yeah, kind of making it like as a memory box. So it's like this is all like archival material from this journey that then come up.
That's where the title comes, Warp?
Kind of also. It's kind of, yeah.
I know Warp only from the Star Trek. Warp.
Yeah, I mean it's like it's related to the fact that they wanted to go around time and and it's also something weird in a way. It's like the siren is this weird creature, and like the companionship between women, it's like everything that is about, and also the different materials, because it's like through that journey I think with this mini DV camera that is like a camera that I was using as a child to document my life. And then I just realized that there were footage from my childhood while I was filming together with and sort of wanted to also take that like child vision in it. But then the work was combined with another journey. Sorry, it's very long.
Yes.
But not, you know. I just gonna say it was combined with this other journey that was I was invited by LIA 2021 to go with some scientists in the North Sea.
So that's the vessel we see in the beginning, the Hansen or something.
Yes. So, because I felt it was something missing in the material, in the sense that I needed a confrontation with sort of another journey.
Thank you so much for those explanations.